jump right into questions with Jocelyn. Cool. We'll start with Ryan Aber.
Hey, Jocelyn, thanks for doing this today.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you about one of your teammates, Kenzie Hansen. Obviously, she came up big last year in the postseason and seems to be turning a corner here over the last couple of weeks, especially at the plate. What have you seen from her, and just how big of a lift does she give this team with, one, what she's done at the plate in big times, and two, what she does defensively?
Yeah, she's definitely been working really hard behind the scenes. Obviously, you guys don't really see that, but she's been in and out of the cage a lot and has been working really hard for this team and just to kind of get her groove back on. And I would say she's pretty much rolling at this point, but she's always been pretty solid defensively. So just another big body to have on the field is nice. But yeah, she's been working really hard.
And what stands out to you about her personality wise, or her demeanor out there?
She has this bulldog mentality, I would say, like no one's gonna beat her type. I'm literally watching her hit right now, but yeah, no one's gonna beat her, and if you do, I would be scared for your next at bat.
Hey, I really appreciate it, Jocelyn. Good luck this
Thank
week.
you.
We'll go Joe Bednar.
Hey, Jocelyn. Wanted to ask you, just kind of coming off of Big 12 tournament and obviously the loss you guys suffered in the championship game. How have you, or maybe this just leadership group, have I guess rallied around this team, if at all? Just what's the mindset been like the past few days since Saturday?
I feel like it's kind of been normal. Losses are going to happen. We're not a perfect team, and I'd rather lose now than to lose in the next few weeks here. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So we're just going to keep rolling and keep working from here on out. But I think we're in a really good spot just coming off of that, and I would watch out for who's going to play us next.
I was going to say, just in terms of, you know, the coaching staff, have they, just over the course of your career, you haven't lost too many games, but how did they handle these kind of situations, or do they kind of let you guys kind of give the autonomy to kind of handle it yourselves as far as just coming off of, you know, setbacks like that?
They just kind of tell us what went wrong in the game and how we need to bounce back from that. And there's always something that we can learn from, even from a win or a loss. So they're just continuing to grind us and put us in a good spot for this weekend. So yeah, we're just back to the chalkboard.
Thanks so much, Jocelyn.
John Shin. Sorry.
Yeah, Jocelyn, you've certainly been around this long enough. What is the key to kind of, I guess, peaking at the end when you run this kind of marathon of a season all these years? What's the key toward peaking at this time of year?
I would say definitely to play free. What you've done all up until this whole season, up until this point, doesn't really matter because it's a whole new ball game and anyone can turn it on at any time. So it doesn't really matter what you did all season. But just playing free and not really thinking too much about what's going to happen, just going with it.
Was it hard for you as a player? Is it hard for younger players to understand that?
I would say it's hard for younger players who have already had one season under the belt. So like that sophomore year, just because they know what they've done before and they try to match that. And I know I fell into that. A couple other of these girls have fallen into it, but they know how to bounce back out of it and snap back out of it. So yeah, it's just a whole new ball game right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Jocelyn, with the tournament starting, obviously a huge spotlight on women's sports, softball in specific. I'm kind of curious, when you did your NIL deal with Fowler, you made a comment on Twitter that made me think that you sort of had the bigger picture of women's sports in mind and exposure of women's athletes like yourself. What has sort of been your approach and your thought process about the NIL? for women's athletes, and how can you speak a little bit about how that deal in specific came about for you?
Just as far as me and NIL deals, as far as where I'm at right now in my career, I feel like I'm at the pinnacle of my career. So I would compare myself to QB1, maybe even a little bit higher, just with what I've done and the things that I've done. It's pretty hard to come by. So I would say I'm a little bit bigger than, I would say, most Sooner athletes here. But just me being a woman, I want people that do those NIL deals and do all these stuffs with other male athletes to recognize that women are just as capable, because we have people like me, we have people like Jada Coleman, people like Montana Fouts, that are at the top of their game right now, and they're not getting what it is that I feel like they deserve as far as NIL. And then I just feel like they always will look to male athletes, which just kind of isn't the way. I just don't think it's right. But yeah, I'm gonna continue to advocate for women's sports as much as I can, and even after I'm done, I'll continue to advocate for them. But how the Fowler deal came about was just, I had to message them and I was like, hey, would love to do an NIL deal, and told them who I was, and they knew who I was. So that was a good thing. But yeah, just kind of went on from there. And now my family doesn't have to rent a car whenever they come here. And we all don't have to smush into my old little Kia Soul. So it's nice.
I know obviously that deal, or any NIL deal, is important to the individual athlete. But I'm sure you're around some of the guys on campus that have NIL, and obviously around some of the gals on campus that do. Do you get the sense like it means maybe a little bit more to the women because of some of those impacts in that broader scope of women's sports?
Oh, for sure. Like some of the deals that I've heard that male athletes have gotten, I'm like, who are you? Like, what have you done? And then there's people like Maggie Nichols, and there's the tennis team who's second in the nation. Like, why isn't that being talked about enough? I don't get it. It's just stuff like that, because we put in just as much hours, we put in just as much hard work, but we have to work twice as hard for the recognition that we deserve. And I just feel like we put in too much for us to not get that recognition.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
We'll go Joey Helmer.
Yeah, Jocelyn, I was just wondering, with this your last postseason here in Oklahoma, do you think about that? Do you live in the present? Just kind of how do you process this being your last postseason here at Oklahoma?
Yeah, just taking it game by game, pitch by pitch, just definitely trying to stay within the moment. But yeah, it's kind of bittersweet that it is my last one, but I'm going to leave it all out on the field and know that I'm not going to have a single ounce of regret after I leave this game, college game.
We'll go Colton Soley.
Hey, Jocelyn. I want to take you back to the Texas loss. I was kind of wondering what was said in the locker room after that game. I hoped you guys respond in a big way. And how did it compare to the attitude in the locker room after the Oklahoma State loss this last weekend?
I mean, like I said, we're not a perfect team, and up until that point, we were 39-0, and we still won the series. So, I mean, yeah, it hurt a little bit, but like you learn from everything, and you just continue to work hard and get better, and just see what it is that you can work on and make sure that it's perfect the next time so that it doesn't happen. But no hard feelings at all. A loss is a loss, and good teams are going to have losses, but it's how you bounce back from it.
Thanks, Jocelyn.
Thanks.
We'll go Clay Horning.
Hi, Jocelyn. I don't know if I've ever asked you, you're such maybe perhaps the greatest slugger in the history of the college game. When you go to the plate, what are you thinking about? Like, do you have one or two keys, or is it complete reaction? I'm just trying to get, what you're like as a hitter in the box.
Yeah, I definitely do my homework for sure, just as far as game plan, approach, and mindset. And as far as actually being in the box, it's not really about thinking, I would say, but I know I have a good idea about what the pitcher is going to do and certain counts because I do a lot of homework. So I think about it as going into a test very prepared and ready to go and ace the exam.
And I guess I'd also like to ask, do teammates or just maybe, younger players than that approach you for hitting tips? Is there anything you tell them consistently?
Yeah, they do. They started talking to me a lot more as they got to know me because I feel like the younger ones just kind of thought I was just this grumpy old lady. But no, they started to approach me, and now we've built that relationship now, and I see certain things in their swings and I'll tell them little stuff like that, and they'll just take it and just kind of run with it. But they know they can always talk to me even when I'm not here. So yeah, we've built that relationship and that bond, and they can come to me whenever.
Thank you.
That's a good last one, back to Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Jocelyn, I should ask you this before, but you said you were talking about your family being here and not having to cram into your old car like they used to. Where do they stay? I mean, it's the whole crew. They were here last week. They've been here for a while, I imagine. So how does that work? Where does everybody sleep?
They're sleeping with me, but I have this little back room, and then my grandma's on an air mattress in the living room. So it's just there's people everywhere. But I had to tell my dad last weekend that I need a hotel. I need you guys to get a hotel because I just need to focus. And I wouldn't have the guts to tell my dad that before, but I have the guts to tell him it now. So I just recognize whenever I don't feel on my game, I'm a really big homebody. I like to be quiet. I don't like to talk. I don't like to really hear stuff. I just like to lay in my bed and chill when I'm at home. And yeah, there's just a lot of people in my space, basically.
So they're on their way out right now, huh?
Yeah, my dad will be back Thursday, and then I don't think my mom or my sisters will be coming. They're still finishing school, but yeah, grandparents were out here last weekend, and yeah, that's all. I only have 3 people this weekend, but yeah.
Okay,
Feels
thanks,
like a lot.
Jocelyn.
Thanks a bunch, Joss.
Thanks.